Hey everyone, what's the crack? Lawrence here. You might remember the MECA Cup1 pedals that I reviewed about 2 years ago now. Well, they've just brought out the brand new MECA EVO pedals. Today we're going to unbox them, get them on the rig, give you my first impressions. Let's do this. So first things first, a quick recap, I guess, on why I love these pedals. I love the cup system on the brakes. The feel of the brake is absolutely excellent. It had a nice throttle, nice clutch. It was just all around a very, very good pedal set. Now they've gone and redesigned the whole thing, and I've got a couple of boxes here that I'm going to unbox today. So the first box is this one here. I think there's probably a base plate in here. I'm going to go for this one first. I actually have 3 boxes in total. That is because I have the hydraulic mod for these as well. So let's get this out, see what this looks like. They tend to do these outer boxes with the MECA logo on it, and then inner boxes just relatively plain. Maybe sometimes there's a small little logo on there. Yeah, here we go. You can see, let's take that out. There's significant weight in that. You can see there's a little MECA logo just on the front of it here. Let's get this open. Let's see what's in here. Very light box. There's some mounting hardware in here. Some big, I think M6 or M8 bolts. I'm not sure. M8, I think. And then this seems to all be wrapped up. Okay, this is one solid piece. Let's get rid of that box. There we go, it's nicely wrapped. Very nice. I feel like I don't need to tear anything here, but maybe I do. Let's see if anything at the bottom comes loose. I mean, it's beautifully wrapped. It's very nicely packaged, but I think I am going to have to tear here to get this off. Maybe the front comes loose. No, I'm going to have to cut that there. Really nicely packaged though. This part out. And as suspected, it's our base plate. Now I was expecting to have to build this base plate, but happy days, it comes pre-assembled. So that is very nice. Lovely base plate. I really like these type of base plates. Wow, that's engineered to within an inch of its life. It's got a MECA sticker on here. Again, like with the handbrake and the shifter, I'm a little bit disappointed to just see a sticker put on there. I'd love to see some laser engraving, just something to show off how good their engineering is. So yeah, a little bit of a pity that that's just a sticker. I will probably just be peeling that sticker off. I'm not a huge fan of the look of it, but the base plate looks really nice. It's a very tidy piece of kit. Very nice. Let's put that to the side and open the other boxes. So here is box 2. Let's see what's in here. Okay, we've got 3 little sub boxes in here, so I'm guessing that each one of these contains a pedal. Let's get all 3 of them out of here, so that we can get rid of the outer box. Again, the packaging is quite minimalist, but quite nice. Nothing in that box, so that is just a spacer box, it seems. Nothing in there. Put that to the side, and let's get these guys. So the first one, here we go. That looks very much like a clutch. Very nice. I'll compare these side by side with the Cup1 pedals in a later video. But yeah, we've got this dual setup here. With the Cup1s, we only had one of these springs either side, so they've gone for even more weight here. The kind of cantilever, interesting mechanism here, similar to what they had on the Cup1. Everything this time with the Evo is black as well, which is very nice. So we've got a little, another little box in here. Let's get rid of that box. And the small box here contains mounting hardware, I think. yeah, some T-slot nuts, and some bolts and stuff like that. So let's put those to the side. Let's actually put them in here with the other mounting hardware that we have. So very nice pedal. It's got a curved faceplate on it, which is also interesting. That's all that can be very nice for sliding your foot along. It looks like that is height adjustable as well. Loads of adjustment on the pedal itself. You can adjust, let's see. Yeah, you can adjust a hell of a lot on it. Very interesting, really interesting to see this mechanism on the back as well. Go into more detail on that when the time comes. Another pedal here. And this is our throttle. So the throttle, similar in design, a lovely long pedal face. I absolutely love that. Curved at the bottom as well. So that is nice. Got a big spring on here. I saw some other little bits and pieces in the box there that we'll look at in just a second. There may be spare springs and stuff like that. You can adjust the travel. There's a 20 kg load cell on the throttle. Very interesting. Very beautiful pedal. Very nice design. So let's put that here and we'll make space for what will be the brake. Let's take this mounting hardware out. Again, similar to what we saw with the clutch, it's pretty much the exact same thing. Put them in with the other mounting hardware. And then in here, okay, we've got a control box. So like with the handbrake and the shifter, got a little control box. It's actually lovely metal face. Again, a sticker rather than a laser engraving. Bit of a pity. USB-C cable, and we've got our 3 slots, one for each of the pedals. So let's put that with the mounting hardware. We've got our little MECA thank you card, which we get with all MECA products. Very nice. We've got some alternative pedal faces here as well. So that is very interesting. I think that's like a small throttle pedal. And this is the same size as the clutch pedal. So very interesting to see the extra pedal faces. I'm not sure if you get them as standard with it or if they're just something that's been thrown in for me. We've got some extra T-slot nuts and bolts there and a USB-C cable, which we'll also throw in there. And then let's move on to the last box. I'll just move these pedals out of the way and grab this box. Now, okay, in here we have 2 more cardboard boxes. So this is most likely going to be our pedal. Let's put that over here. And this large box, there's a little bit of weight in that. Let's get rid of that box. Pile of boxes in the corner. Let's save this box. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be the other pedal, the brake pedal. So let's get that out of the box. There we go. That familiar cup system. So what I mean by cup system, for those of you who are not familiar with it, we've got these kind of metal cups that the elastomers sit into, because the theory with these and the practice with these is that an elastomer loses effectivity pretty much after about 30%, I think it is. So once an elastomer is 30% compressed, after that it can start deforming, or it's not as effective as it was for the first 30%. So what happens is this metal cup hits the other metal cup, they push together, and all of the excess force is being pushed onto the next elastomer, rather than some of the force deforming the first elastomer while the next elastomer hasn't had a chance to be effective yet. So that's nice. There is a little spring on here as well. That is probably to simulate that little bit of brake disc, catching the brake disc. So that is interesting. You can, lots of adjustments on this. I think there are not as many adjustments maybe as we had on the Cup1 pedals, but that's also not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes when there's a hell of a lot of adjustment, it can get a little bit confusing. It looks like that's easy to adjust that preload as well. Beautifully created, beautifully machined pieces as well. And these shiny cups, I'm delighted that they make those, that brushed metal, because they are really the key feature here. Let's put these together. I'm assuming that this is just more mounting hardware, a little standard mounting hardware box. Oh, we've got elastomers in here as well. So we've got some spare elastomers for our brake pedal. So that we're going to have to try those as well. Every pedal setup, every steering wheel, anything that I get, I always run it in its default form from the factory first. That's how the company wants the user. That's what the company thinks is the most common user desired experience. Generally, I do find myself changing stuff. There are some exceptions to that rule, but generally I like heavier setups in handbrakes and stuff like that. Who knows, at some stage I might go for a slightly heavier brake, but the nice thing with brakes like this is that there's loads of adjustability. You can find that exact sweet spot that you like. And I think that sweet spot doesn't necessarily need to reflect what happens in the real car. I think people often get hung up on that from a simulation point of view. At the end of the day, we want to be as fast as possible. So having all the adjustability in these pedals isn't necessarily just to make it feel like the exact car. It's so that you can make it feel as good as possible, so that you can get the maximum out of the braking force within whatever sim titles you play. So it's a kind of a blurry area. Some people say, no, it should be exactly the way it is in real life. But the reality of it is, if you want to drive an F1 car, you need to be in the gym hours every day. You need to be on a nutrition plan, stuff like that, just to be able to press that brake properly. None of us are going to go to that effort. We are lazy sim racers. We love sitting in our rig. We want to set this up as well as possible, and we want to beat all of our friends and our peers on track. And the only way to really do that is set up your brake in a way that suits you. In a real race car, if you could set up a brake to the extent that we can in sim racing, where you can adjust sliders, adjust all these little bolts and stuff like that, real life drivers would be far more effective too. But they are limited by real life hardware complications, restrictions, and things that they have to abide by in the real world. And even though we're trying to replicate what they do in the real world, really what we're trying to replicate, what we're trying to simulate, is being fast on track. So whatever way you can adjust your pedals and your hardware to do that, just do it. Get your competitive advantage. So sorry about that tangent. They're the elastomers. We're going to try those at a later stage, not in this first impressions video. So that's the three pedals side by side: our clutch, our brake, and our throttle. They're absolutely beautiful looking pedals. I like the kind of the dulled metal effect here. It's, yeah, very, very, very nice. The contrast, the color, the black and the silver do really work well together. Some people prefer all black and stuff like that, but I think that it works on this occasion. These are not too shiny. And the little accents, the little details, all the bolting, the mounting hardware, stuff like that is all silver as well. So really, just from a design point of view, they're very beautiful pedals. One thing that I love about them is that everything seems very accessible. So it seems to be very easy to, you know, make those adjustments. So they look very, very nice. Let's go and open that last box. Let's put these off to the side. And let's open this last box. This last box, I'm expecting to contain the hydraulic kit. Okay, oh wow, look at the size of that. That is amazing. That looks really, really cool. Okay, so it's not just a hydraulic kit. Oh, this is, oh, whoa. Look at that. Holy crap. All right, let's get a better angle of this. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. So this is an entire hydraulic brake pedal with an elastomer stack in, oh, what that is. That's one of the most impressive brake pedals that I've ever seen in sim racing. Just taking a second to take it all in. We've got a Willwood cylinder on here. Does it show? It's a 0.75 cylinder, I think. It's lovely. Oh man, it's it's a little, I'm a little bit lost for words that this is a piece of sim racing hardware. Beautiful, beautiful. So for the shipping, they have sealed the cylinder. I'm guessing that we'll never need to top this up or do anything with this. But wow, that is stunning. That is absolutely stunning. I'm going to, for the first impressions video, I am just going to be concentrating on the non-hydraulic pedal, brake pedal. I will, for my full review, I will be using this hydraulic pedal as well, and of course comparing the two. As I say, I like to try the default version, and then that's the only way that I'll know if this is actually worth the upgrade over the standard version. I'm a little bit lost for words at how impressive this is. It is definitely the most impressive sim racing brake pedal that I've ever seen in my life. If I was not making a video here, I would go straight for this hydraulic pedal. It's the type of thing that I really just want to sink my teeth into. It's amazing. Now, in general, I actually don't feel, in general, as a blanket rule, I don't feel that hydraulic adds a hell of a lot to a sim racing experience. I don't think it's needed as such. I think that load cell brakes do an exceptional job depending on the elastomer stack that's on there. I think they do a great job of simulating what you want, or at least allowing you to brake as effectively as possible. Something like this, it does give you a little bit of extra feel, but does it make you quicker? Probably not. That's just my general experience, but maybe this might be the exception to the rule. I did just notice in this box that we have some larger elastomers as well. So these are the smaller elastomers for the load cell brake, but I think that these larger elastomers are for the stack of the hydraulic brake as well. So that's interesting that you get different elastomers for those. It's not the same elastomer stack across both, and they're different diameters as well. So that's interesting to know. And of course, you get this cable for the hydraulic pedal as well. So this plugs in. So if we have a look at the hydraulic stack here, this little cable plugs in here. There we go, like that. And this will plug in exactly where the load cell brake goes in right now. And that's your hydraulic brake. The interesting thing about it is that this is not a hydraulic load cell setup like you might see in you know, the Simagic setup or something like that. This is more similar to the Asetek Invicta, where you have an actual pressure sensor. So this sensor here is measuring the actual pressure of fluid in this cylinder. So that's something that's important to a lot of people. To the feel, it doesn't really make that much of a difference to me. But that said, who knows? Who knows about this pedal set? So again, just look at that. Absolutely beautiful. So let's grab the base plate, let's get it all mounted up, and let's get it on the rig, get you my first impressions.
As you fade away, as you fade away. Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby, have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay.
One thing of note here, and it always kind of bugs me with these type of pedals, is that stuff is not labeled. So I don't know, I won't know until I hook this up. I won't know which one of these is throttle, brake and clutch. The general assumption that I have is that the brake is the one in the middle and the throttle is the one on the right. That's just a general assumption. It doesn't always play out like that though. And these could be a little bit neater. So I've got a little bit of a cable spaghetti here. But yeah, that labeling, I'd like to see those labeled again, and the control box, I would like to see that laser engraved I know I go on about that, but little things like that when you're paying this much for a pedal set are quite important. So let's do a quick visual comparison of the two. As we can see straight away, the base plate on the Cup 1 is a lot lower. The Evo has a higher base plate. It also has quite a bit of adjustability in the base plate, which is nice to see. You can raise this footrest here, but you can also, this whole profile piece, you can move it backwards and forwards, which is really nice considering you don't have to individually move your pedals then. So you can get your pedals in a position that you like, and then you can move the whole lot together. So that's really nice, very, very well thought out. I like the look. The pedal faces, I think the pedal faces on the Cup 1s are slightly nicer than the pedal faces, but it's a minuscule detail. It just seems that the finish is slightly nicer. I don't know if this is a powder coat or what it is. I don't know how this will wear over time. I may just be, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. This looks like a painted effect. This looks more like a raw metal effect. Not 100% sure. The bead blasting that was on the original MECA Cup 1s was very nice. And I liked some of their little innovative designs, like how you could adjust the throw by moving this little kind of off-center ring to change the throw. But maybe that was a little bit overcomplicated or unreliable. They've gone for the kind of relatively typical little bar across that you can just move forwards and backwards. So pretty simple. They've simplified their design a little bit. It's interesting to see that the Cup 1s had 3 cups. So you had that 3 stages of elastomer. The Evos have the initial spring phase, and then they've got 2 elastomers. So that's interesting. You don't get a spare cup. So if you do want that triple elastomer setup, you can't do it with this out of the box. You'd have to get an extra cup somewhere. I wouldn't advise replacing that spring with an elastomer because that spring will deform because it's not in a cup. So that's interesting as well. The clutch, it looks quite different. It's still got a slightly similar design, but it's got, it looks like it's beefier. It looks like it's heavier than the old clutch. And some of the design concepts are kept relatively similar, but in general, of course, I definitely, not that there was anything wrong with the look of the Cup 1 pedals. I do prefer the look of the Evo pedals myself, but that's a very, very subjective thing. You know, you could argue that you like how these are very recognizable pedals. One thing that I really liked about the Cup 1s that I do kind of miss with the Evo is I loved this box for the connections at the back. So if we lift that, that is a very heavy piece of kit. If we just turn them both around. Now this is a very superficial thing, so don't worry too much about this. This kind of presented the electronics, the connections. It had these higher quality connections, I guess. They're not really needed. They're a little bit overkill. They've gone for a slightly cheaper connection, just a standard RJ type connection, and a smaller control box here that you know, you can mount out of the way. It's not huge on here. I think it's, considering it needs an external control box, it's nice to have it here. Usually companies build it into the brake, but in this case, because you've got that hydraulic brake available as well. You wouldn't want to build extra electronics in there. Kind of makes sense to have a box here. The base plate comes assembled. It is a separate product. It would be kind of nice if, you know, if you were guaranteed to get the base plate with the pedals, it would be nice if the electronics were built into the base plate. One massive advantage that they have for having the electronics as an external device is if anything goes wrong with this little thing, you just need to post back this little thing, or what's most likely going to happen is they're just going to post you out a new one of these, which is very, very small. They might even just do the circuit board and get you to put that in yourself. Very simple. So it's quite a modular setup. It all makes sense from that point of view, but it was similar with the Cup1s, and I quite like this from a design point of view. I thought that made quite a cool impact. Some subtle styling differences and stuff. The MECA Cup1s, of course, are still amongst my favorite pedal sets to date. So let's see if the EVOs can live up to the reputation. So here we are in the rig. We've got the EVO, the MECA EVO pedals on the rig. Straight away, do you know what? Actually, man, they feel very, very familiar. The pedal faces feel slightly different. No, they feel actually very similar to the MECA Cup1s, because these of course are the successor to the Cup1, and they feel very similar. The clutch feels quite similar. The brake feels a little bit different in that you have that initial springiness, so there's a little spring kind of to simulate that, you know, grabbing the brake caliper, the brake rotor, and it actually feels quite nice. It feels quite good. The throttle has a lovely weight to it. One of the things that I have been longing for in many other pedal sets since is the throttle in the Cup1. This is just, it just has springs on it, no dampers or anything like that, but it feels really nice. Before we do get into the driving, let's have a look at the software and see how to calibrate them. So I already have these calibrated, but for the sake of this first impressions video, let's just go and recalibrate them. So one thing to be aware of is that all the pedals use a load cell. What that means is, so this is keep the throttle in the rest position next, so my foot isn't on there. When you press the throttle, if you press it further, so as if when it's already at its maximum and you press it even harder, because it's a load cell, it will register that input, and you definitely don't want to do that. So be very light with your feet. As soon as you feel that end stop where the throttle pedal stops moving, that's your full throttle throw. So let's just put it there, because otherwise with any load cell pedal, if you press a little bit harder, you'll be going down the straight in whatever sim title you're using, and you'll be flat to the mat, and all of a sudden you'll see, hang on, it's not registering the full amount at all. So let's do that here. It's just on the end stop. I'm not pushing any harder than I need to, and I hit next. Brake pedal in the rest position, and then press the brake. So the brake, it can go very, very heavy, that brake. I'm using socks right now. I just came from pedals where I've been using socks a lot lately. My preference is to use shoes, and with a set of pedals like this, I would prefer to use shoes. But because I've been requested by a lot of people, you know, how do they feel with socks and stuff? So I'm going to do put a lot of effort in with the socks, and I have been lately reviewing a lot of pedal sets, predominantly with socks. Clutch feels pretty good. Clutch in the rest position. Hold the clutch fully. Again, this is a load cell clutch, so you don't want, now clutch in sims is not that sensitive, so as long as it's roughly there. So one thing that jumps out at me right away is, so we're on the throttle. Kind of interesting that this is like throttle, brake, clutch. That's the opposite order to how your pedals actually are. It's like clutch, brake, throttle. Anyway, you can't move those. Can you move those? No, you can't move those. You can't move those around at all. But so that's interesting. But what's very interesting here is, you see this little dot here. Might be difficult for you guys to see there, but that's actually jumping up slightly. So we need to set a bit of a dead zone. It's fluctuating slightly. I did have this with the MECA Cup1s as well, but they were very sensitive around their, you know, lowest and highest markers. So bottom dead zone, I'm guessing this is it. Let's just raise that slightly and we can see it gets rid of that. So that's completely stable now. Let's just press the pedal a couple of times. And actually that's interesting. So I was very gentle pressing that to the max, but you can see the issue that I have here. I'm already on full throttle, as you can see on the pedal cam, but that is not at the full 512. So rather than recalibrating, what I usually do when I see things like this, because it's very difficult to calibrate it, is I just set a bit of a dead zone. So 154, there we go. That's plenty. You don't lose much resolution or whatever. Let's go to the brake. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so you've got load cell and you've got hydro. So hydro is for the hydraulic. I do have the hydraulic brake. It's not installed right now, and I'm not going to be covering that in this video. But we've got the load cell. That is slightly jumping as well, so I'm going to just set a bit of a dead zone at the start as well. And press that fully. Yeah, we can get that fully up to, I mean, I can press that harder, but I just don't, it's not comfortable at that point. This is a comfortable amount of braking for me, so I'm happy with that. And the clutch, it's at 0 and all the way to 100. I have used this for the handbrake and the shifter as well, the sequential shifter. Let's go here. Let's just save that preset. What's it doing? So that's interesting. When I click save there, it gives me an open button. And if I go here and I type something, it's trying to open something, but it's save. It says save. That makes no sense. Why is the clutch curve gone so weird? Did I do that? My clutch just like corrupted itself. Like I'm barely pressing that now and it's fully registering. I had that calibrated. I just had that calibrated. The clutch is giving me some very, very dodgy inputs. I'm gonna have to recalibrate. Oh man, you have to recalibrate everything then. God, that's very, very frustrating. Throttle in rest position. Throttle fully pressed. Brake in rest position. Brake fully pressed. Clutch in rest position. Clutch fully pressed. Calibration successful. Okay, it seems to be working there now. Make sure that this is all good. And the throttle, am I going to need to set a dead zone on that again? No, it seems to be working pretty okay. That's very weird. The clutch just completely lost its calibration. Yeah, very weird. Okay, enough of that. Let's go and drive it. I've put my clutch, brake and throttle up on the screen here so that you can see exactly what's happening. And let's take it for a drive here. Throttle throw is quite long, but that's fully adjustable. So this is just the default settings. I test all the hardware in default settings. One of the things I love about this car is that the throttle's super sensitive, as you can see there. So to get the most out of it, you really need a throttle that you can use and that you can modulate. So this throttle feels great. It feels very like the Cup1 throttle. Just trying to get used to the brake there. That's going to be the biggest thing, because I actually just came from a couple of weeks of using the using a non-load cell brake. So using a load cell now is interesting, but it's so intuitive. It feels very, very intuitive. I'm liking that. I'm feeling that here now. Yeah, no lockups. Not concentrating on my lap times here, but I'm concentrating on not locking up those front tires. Let's brake nice and late here. Slightly too deep, but definitely able to modulate that brake. And even that poor line there is better than a lockup. Oh yeah. The ability to brake is. I had some concerns, some little reservations about that initial springy part. I know that a lot of pedal manufacturers are doing that now, but it does feel good. It's nice for trail braking. We'll be doing a little bit of trail braking through this bottom corner here, the old hairpin, just to balance the car. And it's nice that there's not too much resistance there. You just get that spring. I could definitely be as fast as I can be with these pedals. From what I messed that up. I took too much of that curb, but that is very, very enjoyable, especially from the pedals that I just came from. The difference is night and day. This feels top end again. This feels like a very, very high end experience. Being able to intuitively react to where the brake, where it's going to lock up, like that's the hardest thing to do. It's one of the reasons I choose this car and track combo is for that braking in those, like that's just perfect braking. I mean, I'm not going at laps in anger here, but the fact that I'm able to slow the car down at pretty much my ideal braking points. Obviously missed the apex there completely because I'm talking to you guys, but I'm able to stop the car where I wanted to. So even in their default setup, I will be obviously playing with elastomers, different settings, stuff like that. There's not much I want to change. If I'm completely honest, there's not much that I change, and I do like when a pedal set comes set up really nicely. Sometimes there's like a weak pedal. My only concern is that the clutch uncalibrated itself somehow. The calibration is a little bit finicky. It's a little bit, it's something you just need to keep an eye on. But everything else feels really good. I'm impressed, and I hope that I hope that I'm not biased from really loving the Cup 1s. I was actually quite worried about these pedals because the Cup 1s are so good. I was worried, why are they replacing them? So if anything, I thought I was going to be too critical. I'm going to say, the Cup 1s did this, the Cup 1s did that. But right now, they feel at least as good, if not better. So there you have it. My first impressions of the Cup 1, not the Cup 1, the Evo, MECA EVO pedals. I was just talking about the Cup 1s. They're really nice. Some things of note, the installation on the rig was a bit of a pain in the hole, to be honest, because the base plate that your foot sits on, you need to get under that to get bolts in. I think that when designing this rig, I think that when designing these pedals, when designing these pedals and designing their shifter and handbrake, I don't think they did it on a profile rig. Most people in the high-end sector are using a aluminium profile rig. So the mounting hardware generally isn't for a profile rig, and mounting on this, even the pedals, regardless of whether you're on a profile rig or not, mounting the front mount points, the points that are closest to you, is very, very finicky unless you raise that pedal plate up. I actually had to take the pedal plate off completely just to get access to those bolts. So that was a real pain, real shame. But they came largely assembled and stuff like that. So they were, they were still not that bad to install. There was just a little bit of finickiness to it, and I had to use my own hardware as well because the hardware that was supplied just wasn't suitable for a profile rig. So that's something of note. But I mean, like, it's hard in the high end pedal segment. You really have to nitpick, right? You have to find those little things like the software there just being a little bit finicky. But once it's set, it's set. You really start. It's a very subjective thing. Do you like a heavy throttle? Do you like a light throttle? And they can't please everybody. That's where the adjustability comes in and stuff like that. I feel like these pedals are very much set up for me. I don't know if that is by design because of feedback that I've given the company in the past. They feel very much like how I could imagine myself ending up with them. As in, right now, my gut is telling me if my review had to be out tomorrow, I had to give a review, I wouldn't have to do much messing around with settings. I would have great confidence that I've had, that I can do a lot of messing about with, like throttle pro and things like the clutch, bite point, stuff like that, and the elastomer stack in the brakes, because of course it has that amazing cup system, and I can really feel that once I press that brake hard, it's a very progressive experience. There's no deforming of elastomers or anything like that. So they just know how to. They've known since the Cup ones already. They know how to make a brake elastomer stack. So trying to give you guys some more like constructive information here. The logo just being a sticker when you're paying a lot for pedals, that's not ideal. It's not just a first world problem. It's not a big problem. These pedals are absolutely excellent. I'm trying to find things that when you guys buy them, you put them on your rig, you say, "Oh, Lawrence never said this," blah 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 blah. This is just the first impressions video, so forgive me. I will be using these in all my competitive league races and stuff like that over the coming weeks. So I will discover more as we go along. But for now, I'm sold. They're excellent. They're really, really good. They built on what they knew from the Cup ones. They changed the base plate, which is the biggest revelation, I think. The brake, if you like that initial grabbing of the brake rotor, the brake disc feeling, they've got that, and that's nice for trail braking. It definitely is. It gives you a nice, easy kind of an initial braking period. Nice for trail braking, balancing the car. The throttle is glorious, just really, really nice. One of the nicest throttles in sim racing, as far as I'm concerned. And the clutch has a good feel to it. It has a decent feel to it. I don't have a H shifter on here, so I'm not going to drive it in H pattern today, but I will be doing it over the coming weeks. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. A lot of you have been asking for this video, so do make sure to leave a comment below. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday, so I'll be using these as well. Pop in, ask me about them, stuff like that. For now, I'm Lawrence. I'll chat to you later.